Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 49 of GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace. I'm the Professor, Larry. We have Ace, AJ will be joining us as soon as she can. She'll be here, but we've got our awesome good friend Keith from over at Pop Culture Minefield and many other things going on. And we're glad to have you here with us, Keith. We were talking a little bit before the show, kind of what some of the news is out there. Now we wanted to go over what sort of things we are kind of geeking out and enjoying for this episode, but let's break into some of that news because you've got some really good insights on what's going on. So there's some shakeup going on at Warner Brothers, and part of it has to do with a merger with Discovery. So can you just kind of recap what you were telling me? That way our audience will kind of have an understanding of what's going on. Because I know I read the articles and I wasn't 100% sure, and I appreciate your breaking down. You have great insight.
Well, let me just say, first of all, thank you for having me.
Always
hope everyone out there is doing well. As of right now, there are several people, many of whom were people that have been involved with the Zack Snyder drama that I have been telling people that if you keep your eye on it, some major things are going to happen. And so it seems like a lot of the people who were causing a lot of problems for Zack Snyder with Justice League and other issues are now no longer a part of Warner Brothers. They didn't lose their jobs. They know where their jobs are. It's just that there's going to be somebody else doing them.
So, are they being shown the door actively, given their severance package and heading out, or are they still with the company? Or
some are being shown the door. Some are surprised they're being shown the door because they haven't been in their jobs that long. But that shows you the level of that shows you how mad AT&T and disappointed, I should say, AT&T has been with Warner Brothers. Okay.
Yeah.
If you are a DC Films fan, though, there's a lot to celebrate here. And number one being that it is looking more and more like Walter Hamada will no longer be running DC Films. So what does that mean? Well, it means that there's going to be a change to how things are going to happen, and it might even affect the upcoming Superman movie. A lot of the plans that were made to be post Zack Snyder are being put on hold. And that Toby Emmerich, who I personally view as being one of the chief tormentors of Zack Snyder, who as of 3 days ago was running Warner Brothers, he's one of the people being shown the door. His boss at Warner Media, Ann Sarnoff, who is a friend of J.J. Abrams' wife, and she was newly installed in that position. She's also gone. So basically, this is pretty much Game of Thrones. That's what I keep telling you guys every time I come on the show. There's a lot of Hollywood stuff going on that is really, really interesting. It's pretty much like Game of Thrones. But AT&T went into a deal with Discovery to merge Discovery and Warner Media. So all that stuff that you heard about Zack Snyder's Justice League and not everybody around the world being able to watch it and all of that. Okay. If they were to put out Justice League about 6 months from now, that would not be a problem. Because of this deal, HBO Max will be a worldwide company. It'll be a service that you can get anywhere on the planet because Discovery is offered everywhere. Okay?
So basically, from what I was reading, it sounded like they were going to move. They were going to move Warner Brothers underneath Discovery. So is one of them buying the other, or is it an issue?
It's a stock trade.
Just...
It's a stock trade, is what it is. It's trading in stock, of which AT&T and their shareholders get majority share. Okay. What is happening is that Discovery is being merged with Warner Media. Okay.
Yeah.
So the understanding, some are beginning to ask the really cool question, the really pertinent question is, what's going to happen to the new service Discovery Plus?
Yeah.
Okay. And what is going to happen with HBO Max?
Right.
As I and others have been saying since day one, HBO Max was not a good name for that service. It should have been Warner Brothers, whatever else. So if you wanted to combine both of those, I would change it to something like Warner Plus. Although, given that there's already a Disney Plus, it seems kind of. But I mean, for right now, that's technically what you have, which is all of the cool stuff that Discovery Plus offers, combined with everything that Warner Brothers has in one service.
Right.
And considering that Disney actually lost viewers this quarter, and HBO Max gained a lot more viewers than they were telling people, this is actually really good news and positive. Now, on the down low, part of the reason why AT&T did this is that they were losing money. A lot of the rigmarole, a lot of the stuff that happened from a lot of the people that were causing problems at Warner Brothers was costing them a lot of money.
If you are going to be underneath a big global company that's primary goal is to make bang, maybe you shouldn't do things that's going to lose them money.
Yes, and in this case, you should listen to the people that basically you answer to. Right, are the people who you should really not antagonize. And in this case, everyone at Warner Brothers that was still there that hadn't gotten fired the first time around, and ironically, a majority of these people were people that caused problems for Zack Snyder when he was filming Justice League.
Sure, right.
There are a lot of the people that have been causing problems. Basically, they've been running it like high school. I can't be friends with you because you're friends with that. It's a lot of that kind of cattiness. And let me just say this: Warner Brothers isn't the only place that this was going on at.
Right.
This is the majority of the problem right now with Lucasfilm, because it's the same thing.
Right.
There are a lot of different companies in Hollywood that are facing this kind of thing, where you have employees that are basically doing things like they're going after fans, they're going after customers, they're bad-mouthing people. It's all kinds of stuff that, when you think about it, and the amount of money these companies make,
right?
Why would you allow someone to go online and antagonize your paying customers?
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a smart idea.
It is not. And let's just say a majority of the people who are some of the worst right now either have lost their jobs or will be receiving their pink slips. Because Hollywood has pretty much had it. As I've said before, the first thing I learned about business from my dad that has held up is never mess with the money.
Right.
And what these people are doing is messing with the money.
Right.
So
and they may be doing it out of what they perceive is good reasoning,
which is not their job.
Which is not their job, and you're messing with the money.
It's great that they think that, but guess what? In the end, you get a paycheck.
Right.
And the people that control the money that goes into the account that allows your paycheck to be pretty much what it is, they're telling you to do something and you're defying them.
Right. Well,
So
as a fan, if I'm a fan of something and I'm feeling antagonized by the people running it, why am I spending my money on your product? Why am I spending my money on your service, on your T-shirts, on whatever? And that's going to affect bottom line. Now, one person being upset is not going to do it. But in today's day and age, with the Twitter fires that happen, I mean, how many people get dissed horribly on Twitter for things that really they didn't do? Nevertheless, people that are actually doing crap to fans. I mean, that's just stupidity.
And that takes us right into what's happening and why what's going to happen next, or should I say technically later on this year, is going to be just as big. Okay. What happened with, okay, let me just come right out and say this. What's going to happen to Lucasfilm is about like that. Okay. There are a lot of people out there that just assume that because a movie makes a lot of money at the box office, that somehow means that the studio and everyone else keeps all that money.
Right.
What I'm referencing are the Star Wars films. In this particular case, the $2 billion that The Force Awakens made, the 1 point whatever that Last Jedi made, and on and on and on. Okay.
Right.
Here's the thing. It is now commonly accepted by many business people, especially at Forbes and other places, that Disney overpaid for Star Wars and for Lucasfilm, really. They paid $4.5 billion. Okay. So that money comes from someplace. So you're hoping to recoup the money from all the other things that you do. Right.
Right.
Okay. So you have The Force Awakens. Oh, let me at least say this. There was a guy at Forbes, financial advisor, who was interviewed, who was able to speculate. And this is before they even had the name of the movie, before JJ had even named the director of The Force Awakens. He was able to speculate and accurately how much the first Star Wars movie from Disney was going to make. Based on his projections, though, he also projected the second movie would also make a little bit more than that. He was speculating more along the lines of $2.5 billion. With the third film making $3 billion or more.
Right.
That did not happen.
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with a lot of the machinations behind the scenes, especially Kathleen Kennedy. When The Force Awakens came out and made $2 billion, that is a great thing. Everybody celebrated. But that $2 billion does not entirely go to Disney.
Right.
Okay. That money, first of all, you have to pay bills.
Right.
So the standard operating procedure for making a movie is it costs you 3 times whatever it took to actually make it. So there's the cost of the production of the film along with the cost for advertising.
Right.
Whatever that is, times 3. Okay.
Yep.
So already you're looking at a production that I guesstimate you're looking at least about $600 million.
Right.
Out of that $2 billion. So that's a large chunk gone.
It is.
I'm thinking I might be even lowballing that. I'm thinking maybe even 700 million. Okay.
Right.
So then you have, since it came out in theaters, all those individual territories around the world, they get a percentage of that. It doesn't leave that country. Okay. So all told, I'd say Disney was able to at least bring home to their shareholders at least $1 billion.
Sure.
Give or take.
Right.
Give or take, right? So out of that 4.5 billion, and remember, Disney had to borrow the money. So when you borrow money, usually from a bank or a financial institution, there's also other things attached to it. But let's just go with 4.5. So let's say now that cost is down to $3.5 billion.
Right.
Okay. When you factor in The Last Jedi and its cost, you notice it's not going to shrink that much. Because they ended up spending a lot of money on that film.
Right.
A lot of visual effects. So the cost of that movie was a little bit more. Not too much more, but it was a little bit more.
Right.
So you had a film that was about let's say 1.5 billion. And I'm going to guesstimate, let's just say another 600 million for that. So a large chunk of that 1.5 billion's gone.
Right.
Again, other countries get their percentage. So Disney's not making as much money off of that second movie that they were hoping.
Sure. Right.
Now, back when Fox was running things, do you know how Fox was able to make so much money and be so happy and keep their shareholders happy? It was because between the movies, what you had was merchandising.
Right.
Merchandising serves two purposes.
But and I'm reminded by the Star Wars spoof that it's merchandising.
Yes, well, that really is the lifeblood of all of it.
Right.
Films and comics and all that. It's merchandising. Well, here's the sick, sad fact about Star Wars under Disney. Their merchandising sucks.
Mm-hmm.
They have not been moving a lot of merchandising. In fact, many stores had a lot of merchandising by the time Last Jedi came out. There was still a lot of Force Awakens merchandising left on the shelves.
Sure.
And it was even worse by the time you get to The Rise of Skywalker. So their merchandising was not saving them. It was not filling in the gaps and helping to get the money.
Right.
Meanwhile, during all of this, you had the development of Galaxy's Edge.
Right.
And what I've heard is that Galaxy's Edge to be developed was about a $2 billion enterprise. So you're $2 billion in the hole on top of the money still left on the table from when you bought it.
Right.
Are you beginning to see what has happened?
A little upside down in it.
Yeah, little is one way of putting it. But you can see why the powers that be at Disney are not very happy with Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy.
Right.
The Galaxy's Edge was meant to be an attraction to rival Harry Potter at Universal.
Right.
It has not done that.
Now, how long was it open before COVID, though? Because I didn't think it was really open.
It was open a couple months. It was open a couple months.
Right.
And again, yes, you do have to add in COVID. But here's the other thing. Galaxy's Edge is not the way it is now, was not the way it was originally planned.
Sure.
Okay. The original plan for Galaxy's Edge was for this whole ride and everything to be set firmly in the original trilogy.
Right.
So, if you really look at many of the things built in Galaxy's Edge, especially with the Millennium Falcon and the area where it sits, that was originally modeled to be Mos Eisley Spaceport.
Which makes sense, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Many of the things there were originally meant to be part of the original trilogy.
Right.
Kathleen Kennedy had the design team throw out all the stuff that they had done and remodel it for the new movies.
I didn't realize that. Wow. Since you've got this hardcore fan base of the original trilogy that die and love this movie, these movies, that grew up with their childhoods being formed by these movies, that wept at the end of Return of the Jedi because there were no more movies, you would think it would make sense. In fact, Star Tours has done so well because it leaks back to the original trilogy.
Yes.
So why would you mess with that? With a guarantee, you can add in extra stuff for the new movies. That's not a problem. But why would you change everything to make it not flow through the original trilogy? That doesn't make any. That's your bread and butter. The other ones should be adding on, and you can multiply as you go. But to get rid of the original trilogy, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I know. This is what a lot of people behind the scenes, especially people like me, have been sitting here shaking their heads trying to figure out, what is she doing?
Well, and I've been wondering about that myself, but and then seeing her kind of get in this fight with the television series in Favreau, and I'm like, why would you go and mess with something that, again, is a hit, that you've got a character that people are really going with the child, that they all the toys and everything else? Why would you kick against the moneymaker? Go with it and make it add into what you've got.
Well, because for one thing, you've got an overabundance of people who find themselves in positions of control in Hollywood,
right?
That, surprise, surprise, are not creative. They're good business people. And let me at least point this out about Kathleen Kennedy. I respect the heck out of that woman. She probably is right now, of the active producers in Hollywood right now, she's the most successful one.
Right.
Okay. But here's the thing. She has a weakness. She's not creative. She has no ability to be creative. She can't do it. She can't write. She's a good person when it comes to strategizing behind the scenes and being a producer and making sure a production runs well.
Right.
But that's really it. She can't do there are producers that are creative.
Right.
She's not one of those people.
So the key, when you don't have a strength in an area, is to put the people around you that have that strength and listen to them. You still have the final say, but you listen to what they're saying rather than...
Well, this is where the Lucasfilm Story Group comes in. She brought in all these people that decided to make major changes to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the books that have been published since Disney has had control of Star Wars, all of the books have been... The purpose of those books is to help revise how we look at Star Wars. So they're made to change things and to reformulate everything more in line with what Kathleen Kennedy and the Lucasfilm Story Group want things to be like. The High Republic was their big thing. That was the thing that they were building towards. And that has flamed out spectacularly. Everything that they've launched, comics, any attempt at toys, all of it has failed. All of it. And after what happened last week, it's pretty much salt on the wound. And what I mean by last week is, hey, anybody hear about a Star Wars book becoming very popular on the New York Times bestsellers list? Heart of the Jedi. You heard about that one?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude. That was the biggest. Oh, dude. Okay. Get this.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when they were coming out with all of the Star Wars books being written in the 80s and the 90s, original stories? You know, you had the Thrawn trilogy and all that.
Right. I went to Walden Books and stood in line to get each one of those three the day it came out. So,
okay. So there was a book written in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this book didn't quite make it for the powers that be at that time. They decided not to go with it and they shelved it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's called Heart of the Jedi.
Okay.
And remember, this is from the 90s.
Right.
Somehow, somebody put together that entire book, got it from wherever it was stashed, and printed up copies with an actual cover and sold it through Amazon. And that thing, it got as high as number 4 on the New York Times bestsellers list. Okay.
Yep.
It embarrassed all of the Star Wars books up there that Disney had.
Right.
By a lot.
Right.
Amazon this past weekend yanked it. They had to yank it. It's not for sale anymore. If you're one of the lucky people that bought that book, you have people on eBay now charging $700 to $800 for a copy.
Woo! My gosh. That's right up there with lumber and gasoline.
And what I heard was this is after a lot of this stuff behind the scenes had already taken place with Bob Chapek and his people making moves to let Kathleen Kennedy and her people know that they are done. In fact, from what I'm hearing, Kathleen Kennedy is on extended vacation leave. She will not be back until, mysteriously, it's basically her contract renegotiation, which will not be renewed. Her contract will not be renewed, but they're going to let her go with a nice celebration. You're going to hear a lot of great things about her. They're going to give her some awards, and she's going out the door at the same time as Alan Horn, who has been the ace up Disney's sleeve. He is probably, and I don't know if you've ever heard that name before. I've mentioned him before.
I've heard his name, yeah.
Alan Horn is the guy that controls all film for Disney.
Okay.
If you are a Disney or Disney-related company that has made a movie, he is your boss.
Right.
Okay? So Pixar, the people at Pixar, they control everything, but guess what? Alan Horn's their boss. Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios. He's the boss at Marvel Studios, but he answers to Alan Horn.
Right.
Kathleen Kennedy answers to Alan Horn. Okay.
Right.
He's retiring. And
is that willingly retiring, or is that?
Yeah. He was an older man back when Bob Iger got him.
Sure.
Look,
sure.
Alan Horn is probably the most successful executive in the role of film. What was the title for his office? Basically, he's on the hottest streak of anybody, of any studio, because he was let go from Warner Brothers, which is where he originally was. He was informed that his services would not be needed, mainly because he was a little older. This is the guy that when he left had signed the Harry Potter franchise and the Matrix films. And technically, since this company was kind of related to Warner Brothers, you could also say Lord of the Rings.
Right.
This is 1999.
Right.
Okay, 1999, 2000. So he's gone. And that's when Bob Iger picked him up and asked him to get out of retirement and to come to work for Disney.
Right.
So everything that's happened since 2000, Alan Horn's been the man. Every movie.
Wow, there you go. Well, Keith, Mandy would like to ask you a question here. So let's pull this up here. So she wants to know about Heart of the Jedi. How did that embarrass Lucasfilms?
It was not part of what Kathleen Kennedy and this Lucasfilm story group wanted to tell. It's pre-Disney.
Right.
So it's a story that doesn't follow the Okay. Kathleen Kennedy and the Lucasfilm Story Group have a particular storyline that they are trying to follow. They are rewriting all of the previous trilogy characters, and they're finding ways of readjusting the hierarchy for how things work. Okay.
Sure.
So, for instance, when they did that Lego special, Star Wars special,
yeah,
what was that about again?
Life Day.
Mm-hmm. Who was the main character again?
That was Ray in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And not Chewbacca's family.
Yeah. Ray is the character that Kathleen Kennedy wanted to promote and to make her the ultimate and greatest Jedi of all time, which meant that they turned all the other characters into jobbers for her. That is a wrestling term. To job means that your purpose is to ultimately lose
right
to that person.
Right. Yep.
So,
and that's interesting that maybe that explains some of the apparent frustration they're having with the Mandalorian, because bringing in Luke Skywalker there at the end, I'm sure that
nobody knew. No. Jon Favreau did that on purpose. There are people there are people that are connected to that production that work directly for her. He did it on purpose and not telling anyone that they were doing that. Behind the scenes, Kathleen Kennedy and the Lucasfilm Story Group were livid.
Yeah.
They were mad.
I'd heard that, yeah.
Yes.
Which I thought was crazy, because I'm like, dude, you have all of this positive press where people are talking about this, how much they love this. People
Kathleen
were
Kennedy
crying on film.
Kathleen Kennedy hates Luke Skywalker.
Well, he could be a whiny
No.
I know.
She hates him because he's so popular with fans. Her take on all that is, this is what she told the designers for Galaxy's Edge, that the older fans really, and I'm paraphrasing, the older fans don't really matter that much anymore. It's all about the new fans.
Thank you, Kathleen Kennedy, because who do you think's paying the money for my kids to go to see Disney on the Disney parks? That's the older fan here that's been the fanboy since 1977.
Well, she doesn't think that that's any big deal to piss you off. But your kids, on the other hand, is who she's making this Star Wars for. And as far as she's concerned, their hero that they're going to grow up with will be Rey.
And I like Rey.
I like Rey too.
I don't know either one of my kids are really bonded with Rey. In fact,
that's because
no.
Like many in the comic book industry, Disney and various other places have been very they haven't really looked at what young people of a certain age are into.
Right.
And since they're pissing off a lot of the older fans, that also cuts off Star Wars from being passed to a whole new generation. A lot of kids are skipping past Star Wars now. They're not really into it anymore.
Which is sad. And welcome, Ace. How you doing, girl?
I'm tired.
I bet. Love the hair, by the way. I know I've said that on Facebook, but loving the red hair. What do you think, Keith?
Lovely as always.
Aw, you guys are too sweet to me.
She is, but that red hair, wow, just pops.
It's a thing. Who picked the color? I actually
a good guy there. Look at that.
I gotta adjust my things. Okay. Sorry, guys.
You're great.
You guys, because I've been doing stuff, so I didn't even get to watch the first part of this. So, what are you guys talking about?
Well,
sorry.
There you go.
You just,
I didn't mean to do that.
All right. It happens. At least you stayed here. So we were actually talking about some of the news coming out about Warner Brothers and Discovery and how they're bonding together and how that is going to make them a global thing with HBO Max or whatever it'll be called. And then kind of talking about what's caused some of this fallout and how certain people at Warner Brothers are no longer employed there. And then we started talking about how some of the expectations of a similar Game of Thrones kind of esque moments are going to be happening with Disney. So,
that's interesting. Yeah.
What's behind the scenes?
right.
It's all behind the scenes. Of course it is.
What happened with Warner Brothers? That's more along the lines of the St. Valentine's Day massacre.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with Lucasfilm mainly? That's going to be the Red Wedding.
Ooh. I love that analogy of that. Like, I love that thought. Okay. So you're gonna have to Keith. You always have such great scoops. I love.
Well, here. Let me at least help everybody out here. Okay. I want to thank Mikey Sutton first of all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of Geekosity, because a lot of this comes from the stories that he has been following and from what he has been telling people.
Right.
He has been saying for over a year, there's some stuff happening both at Disney and at Warner Brothers, and you should really pay attention to what's going on. That there are a lot of very unhappy people that sit at the very top of those corporations that are happy with certain creatives and others who are just slightly below them, who are just basically messing with the money.
Right.
So yeah, there's again, this was I remember saying this even on your show. And I was telling Larry this. Remember when Warner Brothers, when AT&T first came in, and they started all of the firings and the mass layoffs, and a majority of those firings and mass layoffs happened at DC Comics.
Yep.
Do you remember what I told you?
There's more to come.
Yep.
There was more to come. And that this was not about DC Comics. This was just the low-hanging fruit.
Right.
That what was to happen next was going to start affecting some people higher up. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think what people don't understand, it's all about the money.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's simple. It's that simple.
It is. And here's the thing. As an artist, that makes me sad for other artists. But as somebody who's run a business before, it's all about the money. It's not about what you personally like or dislike. It's about what will make you the most money.
Yep.
And that's just the sad fact of the entertainment business that people don't quite grasp. They're like, but I like it this way. Why can't it be that way? Well, that way it's going to cost 4 times as much money to make, 1. And 2, just because you like it, it's more lucrative for them to do it this way. Or, and that sort of thing. And but when things happen that just affect the bottom line in ways we don't see, the public doesn't see, that's where it starts. And yeah, I remember you saying this was just the first of it. This was just the start. Wait to see, because like you said, DC Comics was just the easiest thing to start with, because people even on the outside knew there were things wrong with that. Now they're going more internal, and we might not know everything that's going on, but yeah, no, it's all about the bottom line. It's a business.
If you look at it this way, do you think it's a coincidence that Ava DuVernay's movie The New Gods has gone away?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and that's not the only thing. This current move will probably make Superman from J.J. Abrams go away.
Oh. That'll be good.
because it was all part of the plan to get away from Snyder. But see,
Right.
that was everybody at Warner. And Sarnoff, Toby Emmerich, and Walter Hamada, who Walter Hamada was actually running DC Films. AT&T was running everything, and the people at AT&T, they love Zack Snyder.
Well, because he made them. Because one, he made them popular again,
Yes.
and two, he made them money again, and three, he also appeased the fans. Which, if you could do those three things, that is like the trifecta in the entertainment business. You're appeasing the fans, plus you're making money, plus you're popular. Like
those three people that I named were still messing with Zack Snyder. I think that's part of the baller move on Snyder's part, that he did that with the Justice League and took no money.
Yeah.
Which really made AT&T happy and made it easier for them to go, who are we gonna want to deal with in the future?
Right.
And that pretty much made it easy, you know. And again, there's a reason why Toby Emmerich was looking at Netflix.
Yeah.
When it was rumored, you know, the head of Warner Brothers is somehow his resume is wound up at Netflix. He's feeling these guys out. Wonder what's happening, you know. And Henry Cavill, when the whole thing happened on his birthday about the announcement that they had made a decision and that the new Superman film was going to be built around Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Not Val Zod. Not any other version of this. Was going to be Clark Kent and they were going to make him black. Okay. Fans got livid. And the next day, Henry Cavill came out with that video telling fans to calm down.
Right.
Their negotiations. And I think he knew. I think Snyder knew what was about to happen. I think even J.J. Abrams knew what it was about to happen, because every time somebody brought up J.J. Abrams and even the Superman film, it almost seemed like he was kind of distancing himself again from all of this stuff.
Right.
And
he would like backpedal the interview or backpedal the conversation and try to steer it somewhere else. And
yes,
you know, people don't do that if they're really excited and they know things are going to happen, and like you don't do that. So
yeah, well, look, J.J. Abrams might be a comic book fan of a sort, okay? But if they actually were talking to Michael B. Jordan, and I'm pretty sure he told them this, it's like, look, man, I'm not interested in being a black Clark Kent because there's nothing that you can get out of that. Nothing good comes out of doing it. It's a story that everybody has seen time and time again, and all you're doing is just basically putting him in, now he's a different race, versus Calvin Ellis,
right,
or Val Zod. Those stories are completely different.
Yeah,
because for one, Calvin Ellis is the president of the United States, and in that version of reality, you have Brainiac, who is a computer avatar who actually works for the president in secret to help keep his secret that he's actually Superman.
Right. it's here's the thing, and I applaud movie makers and production companies that do this. I don't want to see the same movie 7 times with just different actors in it. I don't. This is the reason, and people are always like, why I disliked the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man wasn't that I disliked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I just didn't want to see the origin story again.
Well, I disliked him as Peter Parker.
I disliked him as Peter Parker. I thought he would have been a better college-age Peter Parker and not a high school
Even at that, but he didn't fit Peter Parker.
I'm kind of controversial in that. I think he would have made a better Bobby Drake.
No, I agree with that.
No, I can see Bobby Drake. Yes, 100%. That's not controversial to me. Spider-Man and his amazing friends. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, either Bobby Drake, or I would have made him Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Storm
Yeah.
was good. But no, when people ask me why I dislike it, it's not that I dislike Andrew Garfield. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I would have cast him as Peter Parker ever. As Spider-Man, he was okay.
Yeah.
He would have been a better college-age Spider-Man. But
Sure.
I didn't want to watch the origin story again. The problem that I have with these, when they do that, is one, it limits the rogues gallery for these superheroes. There's hundreds of thousands of some of these characters' stories that you can intertwine into these movies, and I don't want to see the same movie 100 times. Like, why would I want to do that? So I applaud them for saying, you know what, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do another Superman origin story, Clark Kent story. Like, it's been done. And I think most people understand his storyline. If they don't, they're
You're
not.
right. You're right.
Give us another storyline. There's so many to choose from. And I'm not even a huge Superman fan, but there's so many of his storylines to choose from. Give us something new. Or give us a new Superman, not Clark Kent Superman, like you said. Give us a, another Superman. And that's
Well, I think that's, look, if you're asked, if you really want to know what I think about Michael B. Jordan, he is working he's working with the people that are bringing back Milestone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he wants to be Icon.
As he should.
That would be great casting.
That'd be a great character. Icon and Rocket, that entire story, again, as I've said on your show, great story.
Yep.
He would fit that, and he'd be great at it. The fact that Walter Hamada, who runs DC Films, seemingly is not a comic book fan. In fact,
so weird to me.
No. Here's what you got to understand, Ace. Here's what you got to understand, dear. Not one single person in charge in Hollywood is a comic book fan. None of them are. None of them are. None of them are. That's what you got to.
My thing is, and I understand not being like a huge fan of certain characters, but
yeah,
like when you hear some of these people talking about doing this movie and they're like, I don't know this character at all, and they're going to do a movie about it. And that's why we get so many origin stories, because they're like, I know this part of him, I don't know all the other stuff, so we'll just do this. Like, it's just like, it's, I don't know, it's like going to the laundromat to fix your car.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like, okay, you want your car fixed at the laundromat? That's not, I don't know. It's, and if they aren't fans, the other thing is, that's fine. If they're head of the whatever studios or whatever thing they're head of, then hire people who are fans to actually do the work. And they haven't done that. A lot of them have not done that.
They don't want to. They look down on comic book people. So the last thing they want to do is defer to anyone like that. The reason why Gary and I say that Kevin Feige, Louis D. Esposito, and Victoria Alonso, why the three of them are unicorns, is that Kevin, and I think the other two as well, much more limited though, he actually grew up reading comic books. He read them in his formative years. Okay.
Right.
And he carried that with him for years beyond that. And it's hard not to be a comic book fan when your mentor in college is the guy that is responsible for the modern day comic book film.
Right.
Richard Donner.
But they're content. And they do it so well, and people, the fans love it, and they make money for the studio. So why aren't they just doing stuff like this? Hiring? I know you say they don't like them, but it infuriates me because it's like, but it's a proven formula.
Right. Bring me some money.
Why would you not?
The head of Sony hates comic book movies.
Well, then he should give up his rights to the comic book movies.
Oh, to Spider-Man? No, it's lucrative, but he hates it.
But then start loving it. If it's making you money, like I've done things that I'm like, I'm not interested in doing it very much. But if it starts making me money, I start liking it. And since these movies make millions of dollars, they should
billions.
Yes. Or they should at least hire people who do like them to do them, because then they'll actually make more money, because it's frustrating.
You're speaking Martian to a lot of the people that are above that.
It shouldn't be. It should not be Russian. It should not be Martian. It should not be another language at all. It should be bottom line, business person to business person. It's more lucrative to hire people who are fans of things. One, they usually are really excited about the project. You might be able to even get them at a lower price because they're so excited about the project. One.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they're going to give everything they have to the project. So you're not going to have to I got to recast this person because they're not interested in doing this project anymore, or got to redo this or whatever. And three, it allows the fans to see movies that they want to see, which means you're going to make more money at the box office. Bottom line, it makes more sense for fans to make comic book movies.
So
or involved in it.
Everything I was just saying before AJ came on, she just said in a much more eloquent way that proved my point and shows how smart I am to team up with this girl. Ace is amazing.
I don't even know what
she is.
Got on. But
it is all. Look, you are where I was at 5 to 7 years ago. I was saying the exact same thing when I started finding all this stuff out, and it's like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Are you kidding me? Now, welcome to my madness. Welcome now. You guys have caught up to me now, and you see why frustration has been my friend.
Well, you've been telling me this stuff for years, and I've been saying the same thing. I'm like, I can't get past why you wouldn't do something that makes you money, that is going to tell a better story by hiring the people that are fans of it. That just doesn't make any logical sense why you would say, I don't want your money.
Here's something really weird. Would you like to take a guess as to who is probably very happy with the news about AT&T and Warner Brothers right now?
Like Disney?
Sony? No. Disney? Okay.
You're close. Come on, say it. Say it. You were going to say it, Larry.
Oh, Kathleen Kennedy?
No.
I was going to say she wouldn't be happy. So, Favreau? Favreau would make sense. He would be happy. No.
Are we talking broad sense or a specific one person?
One. Kevin Feige.
Feige. Well, yeah.
Feige's happy because he was stating that look, things have been getting difficult for Marvel. Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to constantly be winning because after a while, when you have nobody to go against,
it's not a competition anymore.
Right.
That's right. But
nobody
on top of that, you can't tell if what you're doing is hitting the way that it should.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes, whether you want to do or not, it becomes an echo chamber of what it's hard for you to judge.
That's true.
So now that it looks like Warner Brothers and DC are cleaning house, and that we might actually be getting, well, as of right now, if I were a betting man, it's looking more and more like all that stuff that Zack Snyder was saying about, let's just hold off. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna get the Snyderverse. Now,
which the Snyderverse will put some heat on Marvel, and it will have them have some competition, which they haven't had. I love the DC universe. I do. I like Marvel more. I'm a Marvel fan. But
Yes.
the movies, Marvel puts out better movies.
Yeah, that's because there is a certain formula that they use that when you become a part of Marvel, you understand exactly what is expected of you.
Right.
Whereas Warner Brothers tries to run it like we are all about being creative, unless we don't like you.
Right.
Well, and not only that, but Marvel instills loyalty in their cast and their directors and everyone involved in the process. That's why they could tell a story that links together in all of those movies. And if you watch it, it links together in all of those movies. DC flips through people so fast.
Well, that's, again,
it's impossible to
if they had moved forward with J.J. Abrams' plans, that would have been the third incarnation of DC films since the year 2000.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and Snyder, when he was brought in, was the second incarnation.
Yep.
You know what AT&T found out in investigating and looking at Warner Brothers and all of, and the reason why they were going with Zack Snyder is they found the things that I found, which is you guys have been scatterbrained for years.
Yeah.
People keep asking the question, what happened to Warner Brothers and DC? Why didn't they start doing all of this stuff that the MCU was doing back in the day? The thing is, they had started well before everybody else had started paying attention. In fact, out of the box, they even almost won an Academy Award well before they had done it. Remember, DC is the only company to win one of the main acting Academy Awards. And they almost had two.
Right.
On top of that, they were the first to actually have one of the grand stars of Hollywood. You ever wonder why Robert Redford really signed to be a part of Marvel? Why they went after him?
I haven't ever wondered that, Heath. You're going to tell me
because they got Marvel got the Sundance Kid because DC had already gotten Butch Cassidy.
Right.
See, people forget that The Road to Perdition is a DC film. It may not be superheroes, but it's a DC movie.
Sure.
And Paul Newman, that being his final major film,
which was huge.
Yes. Well, the cast of, but he also got a Best Supporting Actor nomination for that film. Yep. And because it wasn't superheroes, a lot of people just sort of let it slide of how big of a deal that was.
Well, because people, if it's not superheroes, but it's linked to a comic book company, they tend to forget that it's a comic book company that put it out.
And so,
like Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
I love
or
that.
Steel.
So
or Steel, right. Yeah.
But coming into the year 2000, you had The Road to Perdition, History of Violence, Catwoman, starring Halle Berry. You had Jonah Hex. Now, Red 2, The Losers. You had the cast of all of those films combined. Some of those people have never even appeared in Marvel films yet.
Right.
You're talking Chris Evans, Idris Elba. You're talking Bruce Willis. You're talking Paul Newman. You're talking Jude Law in his first comic book movie prior to Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of big stars connected. And the other thing about Road to Perdition, anybody watch that show, Superman and Lois?
I started we've watched like 2 episodes.
Have not.
Did you ever see Have you seen The Road to Perdition yet, Ace?
A long time ago.
Yeah, that little kid who played Tom Hanks' son, that's your Superman.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
Because here's the thing, we watch shows weird. People don't like, they don't like it. We will like see somebody on there, pause it. We're like, we know them, and
Mm-hmm.
so we look them up. We like
Yes.
movies. But no, the thing is though, I actually think that production companies want to just be right more than they want to make money. And that's so sad for a business, so sad for artists too. But it's such a sad state that you would rather be right than, and now why are we what's the weirdest thing, Larry? Rather be right than actually be lucrative.
Yes.
Because I love being right. Don't get that mixed up. I am very much, I like to be right. But if it's like be right and not make as much money, or be wrong and make lots of money when my business is to make money, I'm gonna be wrong. And I'm gonna be happy being wrong, because guess what? I'm filling my pockets and I'm giving people what they want.
Right.
Well,
right.
remember, it took a while to get to that, because Fox wasn't interested in that.
No.
At all. They were not interested in it. Okay? So Kevin Feige had to suffer through people doing it wrong.
Yeah.
In order to learn how to do it right. So if you take all of the mistakes, and there were a lot of mistakes with Fox, and you take all of the mistakes they made at Sony, and they
there were
made
a lot.
some doozies.
Yep.
No wonder Kevin Feige would go off and start Marvel Studios and suddenly start getting it right, because he saw how not to do it.
But that's what you're supposed to do.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do. But Fox continued to get it wrong. Even after Marvel Studios had started, look at what they did. They didn't learn.
Well, that's because I feel like a lot of the times people are stuck in this, there's a certain formula for things, and then they're wrong about that formula, but they're like, no, it's gotta go. This is how it should go. This is a formula. And it just doesn't work. Like, when you find the right formula, great. But if you find the wrong formula, don't do it 5 times. Don't do it 20 times.
Don't even do it more than once if it didn't work the first time.
Just change it a little bit.
And Larry, remember what I said about how the money goes with the recent Disney version of the Star Wars films.
Right.
When you look at the Fox movies, specifically the X-Men films, that really plays, because even though some of these movies were making money, the amount of return for the studio was going down for every movie that they made.
Yes, because they kept getting worse and worse. So that's the problem. They can't, like, you think you watch the first one and you're like, okay, it's the first one, and then they're going to get better, because that's what you expect. You expect them to get the formula better and better and better and better. You don't expect to keep making them and them getting worse, and that's what happened. Got worse. But the problem is they cost the same or more to make. Usually
more, yeah.
And that was the thing, the cost of making those films, especially in light of being shown how wrong they are.
Right.
And by that I mean Deadpool. Being shown that you can actually make a really good movie if you went a little cheaper. Although I will say this, I have been hearing from people on the inside that are now telling me that that's also a source of contention, that Deadpool actually cost a lot more than what Fox is willing to admit, and that certain people didn't get paid to keep it off the books to keep the price low. So I need to look into that. But if that's the truth, then that's kind of a strike against Deadpool a little bit, especially with the second one.
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, go ahead. And then you have what happened with the person who was originally put in charge of the X-Men films, Laura Schuler Donner, who lost her job to the person who replaced her, who then continued to use that same formula for all the movies that they made all the way to the very end.
Yeah.
And
you teach your kids when they're little that if you do the same thing over and over again, that you can't expect a different result. And the problem is I don't think they understood this. Or if they did understand it, which I think it's a basic thing to understand, they were either too lazy or too stubborn to figure out a different formula.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. Either they're too stubborn because they're like, no, this should be right. And who knows, maybe the formula they had should have been right. Maybe it looked good on paper. But just because it looks good on paper doesn't mean it works. And for movies that continuously go up in price of being made, they need to generate actual butts in the seats and people enjoying them where they'll come back more than once and where they'll buy all the merchandise, because that's where they make the money. Deadpool was successful because just because of the people, even with the money situation, which you're going to look into, that aside, Deadpool, if you look at the movie, was more successful than other movies that were made because one, it had a crew that was a little bit more passionate about the project, and two, they merchandised the crap out of that thing. So even if they didn't make their money in the theaters, they made their money in the merchandise.
Well, let me help you with this. Yeah, they merchandised it. Oh, they merchandised it. But here's the unfortunate thing. Kind of like what happened with Warner Brothers in the movie Joker. While Fox did benefit from having a hit movie, the merchandising money didn't go to them.
Right.
Marvel still held all of the merchandising rights. So Marvel, technically Disney, was making bank off of that movie.
Yeah. No, I think that's because people don't understand that if you, just because you have the movie rights to something doesn't mean you have the merchandising rights. Doesn't mean you have the print rights. You can't make your own comics up. There are so many facets to the business of making comic book movies and getting the rights to comic book characters that people don't understand. But doesn't take away, even though they didn't get the money, Deadpool was merchandise. If they would have had merchandising rights, there would be no doubt that it would have been a huge financial.
Oh yeah, for them. But that's one of the reasons why Fox had to go out of business. I mean, after a while, it was just like, what are we doing?
Making bad financial decisions. Oh,
well, Sony basically shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah,
with Spider-Man. You had the perfect team, you had the perfect actor, the perfect director, and they figured out a way of pissing the director off and making him leave, so that you had to replace him and your actor to make another attempt at Spider-Man. Just so that a certain producer who has the personality, in my opinion, of a 13-year-old girl with unlimited cell phone access can continue to push certain things that didn't fit even the style and the vision of the original director that you had that everybody liked.
Right.
So he effectively, as a producer, stabbed the director in the back, which is a no-no. You cannot do that. When you are making a movie, the job of the producer is to be on the side of the director and to help the director figure things out. You don't stab them in the back.
No.
And that's what happened to Sam Raimi.
Right.
He got stabbed in the back. And that's the lesson that Hollywood and Sony should have learned from what happened when Richard Donner made Superman.
Right.
This is an ongoing thing.
No, it's like
with a lot of different studios.
think that people get confused with what their role is in making movies. Like you said, a producer is supposed to be there to back up the director, help get the film done on time and in the budget that it's supposed to be made in.
Yes. I mean, that's one of the jobs.
Yeah,
I mean, technically you are the boss. The producer is the boss. But
on set, that would be your job. On set.
Yes. Yeah.
The director should have creative license. That's why you hire him to be your director, to direct the cameras and the actors to make the film make sense.
Yes. Yes. That's it. That is it.
But
I'll have what he's having.
But people strong arm and tie up people so much in all kinds of things and all kinds of projects, not even just comic book movies, although we do see it happen more in comic book movies, or we're aware of it more, I guess, because fans are so passionate about comic book movies. But in Hollywood, and even in TV, that happens all the time.
Yes. And it's unfortunate. You know, some people are able, look, there's a reason why it seems like some people are able to catch and bottle lightning and others just seem to whiff time and time again, you know. I think, to bring this back around, I think now that it looks like DC will be able to move forward with a few projects, even non-Snyder projects, that'll help. Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you let something out of the bag?
No, but let me at least tell you this.
Tell me all the secrets.
You ever see those movies where, you know, the gangster films where, you know, they'll mow down an entire room filled with people, and there's always that one person left. That one person who
witness. You have to have a witness.
Well,
or nobody will know what happened.
There's one person.
Who was that?
Turns out this person's on the list, and they don't even know it. But they survived. They're being allowed to survive temporarily. But there's a bullet with their name on it, and it's coming. And this particular personality knows they're on the list because they've been sort of monkeying with the television side of things.
Yeah.
And let's just say there's somebody who might be in line to do what they do someplace else, who's made a lot of TV shows that certain people might like, you know. I'm not going to mention any names.
Mm-hmm. You mean on that I'll see you next week TV shows?
Yeah, no, something like that.
You kind of things?
I can't say. I just...
You can't say. That's okay. You know what, Keith? Read between the lines. It's all good. It's all good. You didn't say.
All I know is,
you know what?
That person's output and the amount of money they're making, and the fact that certain TV shows they're canceling a lot of shows, and they're trying to parlay that into other things, and it may seem like the people upstairs think that they've had more than enough time to get their act together, and they may have come across some information about them helping to write a certain movie that was part of that first generation of films. You know how I didn't mention With the Road to Perdition. I should have also mentioned Constantine.
Yeah.
And this movie called Llama, the Green Lantern. Green Lantern. Yes.
The movie that shall not be named.
And well, you should name it, because if you just look at who wrote it.
Keith, I love your faces. I love your faces so much.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be that guy, but when you write a movie that fails so spectacularly like that, and you're given a second,
Which
when
could
you're
have
given
been
a
beautiful.
yeah, yes, and you're given a second chance,
And you fail again.
and then you go to TV, and people seem to like what you do, but only for 2 seasons, because for some reason it seems after the second season you go back to sucking again, and yeah.
Listen, it's a thing. You know what it is? I will tell you what it is. With TV shows, I found this. It's kind of like the last season of Game of Thrones. They were just, at this point, we're already successful. We can just throw together whatever we want. These people will buy it. Like, it's a thing. It's like
That's exactly what Fox was saying about the X-Men movies. Doesn't matter what we do.
Yep.
They're going to come see no matter what. We could have an entire movie where we just paint the inside of the danger room and focus the camera on the wall to watch as the paint slowly affixes to the wall.
because we have the name X-Men on it, and people love X-Men.
And that's what they did.
Oh, and it kept getting like that. It got. I mean, the first ones were not good, but for some reason, I kept going back, thinking they're gonna get it right someday. They didn't.
I thought X2 was pretty good.
X2 was good.
All of the movies have parts of them that are redeemable, but
X3 doesn't have anything redeemable. I can't tell you one thing. X3 was horrid.
It might, yes, but like there might be one cast member who makes it a little not the movie itself, but there's like one thing about the movie that can be redeemable. However, it doesn't mean they're good.
Juggernaut was not a juggernaut at all. He was just, I don't know what he was.
He's a soccer hooligan with a helmet.
Yes. That was pretty much it.
I love X-Men so much. I just want them to do it right. And I've lost faith in that they're ever going to do it right.
I think they will in Marvel.
Deadpool got it closest to getting the X-Men right. And he didn't really even have any X-Men that people really, really, really recognized in his movie.
They recognize Colossus. What are you talking about?
Not if you're not a comic book fan.
Colossus has been around since 75. What are we talking about?
Listen, and I will tell you this. I was in that movie theater when it came out because I worked that movie theater and people were leaving that movie theater not knowing who the X-Men. Why didn't they have actual real X-Men? I heard that several times a day as people were walking out, because the problem is that people don't look beyond the covers of comic books to get notable characters a lot of the time. There are a lot of people who are like, I love comic books, but they don't actually look beyond who's on the cover of the comic book. And so there are thousands of great comic book characters who you could change up in a movie and nobody's going to know it. Or you can literally give one comic book character another comic book character's backstory and be like, there you go. We made her younger and a kid version, and she's not a love interest. She's a daughter type person. What the hell is that about? And don't give somebody's character story away. Don't give somebody's character story away to another character. But people don't realize it because those characters that they steal those little tidbits from are not cover characters. Every comic book has their cover characters. The ones that are on the cover. You know, the ones that you recognize. Wolverine.
All I can say is Colossus and Kitty Pryde have been on plenty of covers.
But
I can't help it if people don't know who they are.
That's the problem.
I don't know how to make that different. Kitty Pryde is one of the greatest characters of all time. What are we doing?
And I don't disagree with you. But I know the characters that are popular because they're on more covers and people recognize them. And those two are not on enough covers to be recognized, especially, and here's the thing, Larry, we're a little older. Okay?
What are you talking about?
But especially to the kids who grew up in the 90s, they didn't have them on the covers because it was all about that main group. It was all about Wolverine and Storm and Rogue. And I will tell you this, Dakota even goes, when we watched X-Men, he was like, that's not Rogue's story. Why is she a kid?
Right.
Like, he didn't understand why she was so much younger than, like, she was always a little younger, but she wasn't that much younger than Storm. And no.
That sounds familiar. Who could that be in DC? Oh, yeah, Raven.
Yep.
Who went from being an adult woman to a teenage moody girl is what they did to her. And then you had another character say booyah all the time, who doesn't say it in the comics at all. That's not even a part of his character.
Nope.
But because they said it in a cartoon a couple times, that became something that certain people identified with the character.
Yeah.
Don't know how that happened.
And that's the thing, Larry. Like, I love Colossus. I do. And you know that I would watch a movie just with him. Like, his story is amazing. The problem
his sister was the bomb in New Mutants.
Right?
Agreed.
But he literally didn't have enough recognizability for people to walk out of the theater going, oh my gosh, we saw this person.
Or even to be excited enough that his sister was in the New Mutants.
Yep.
That was the best part of that movie.
That was a movie they had changed a lot and had a lot of behind the scenes. And since you both saw it, I guess you guys didn't recognize the fact that final scene was actually filmed well after they had stopped filming, and everybody was noticeably older.
Right? Yeah.
A lot older.
Well, I just thought that night with the demon bear really kind of wore on them and kind of aged them as kids.
They aged 3 years in.
They did. That's what I thought. That was my thought. Was the demon bear experience caused them to age?
I looked over at Shmoo and I was like, "Are they the same actors?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Are you sure that one's the same?" He just because. Unfortunately, with movies, when you hire children or teenagers, they age so differently in a short amount of time that they can look completely like a different person three months later, like let alone a couple years later. And that is just terrible. It was so, I mean, I didn't hate that movie. It was just annoying to me at that very end. I was like, different actors. And then I looked it up and no, they're the same actors. It was just like they
foxed. They foxed you again. They foxed you again.
Well, I was so hopeful with that movie because I love the demon bear story and
no. It's not a bad movie at all. No. I look. Let me say this about. I can at least and kids get set to record this because this will be one of the few times you have me say something good about the Fox X-Men films or X-Men related stuff. Ready? Okay. And now, the thing about New Mutants is while it was kind of uneven in places and they did have a lot of problems behind the scenes and there was a lot of, changing minds and filming different ways, it was surprisingly coherent for the amount of chaos behind
that's true.
Scenes.
Yes.
I wish the new Hellboy had been able to survive like that, given the amount of chaos that it had behind the scenes. But
yeah, when you start watching one movie and you end watching something else, and you're like, "What the hell did I just watch?" Why did I spend $15 to come watch two movies that both are incomplete?
Well, and one's in black and white now. What's up with that? I don't know.
There's no Hellboy movie in black and white.
Sorry, go ahead.
So bad.
I mean, I'd live to crack you guys up, but
I snorted on the live. I'm like,
what? No, that was somebody dragging their chair across a very bad floor. Bad floor. Bad floor.
Mandy's got a comment for us.
Yay,
Yes.
Comments.
No, I agree with that.
Well, here's the thing about the cartoon influences. The cartoon influences are not always the same influences as the influences from the comics. I think that was the point we were trying to make. In the case of Justice League, that whole argument between Joss Whedon and Ray Fisher about trying to get Ray Fisher to say booyah was nonsensical, since booyah is not a word associated with the character Cyborg from the comics.
Right.
That's it. That's all I'm and the whole booyah thing, that's only for the Cartoon Network cartoon.
Which is aimed for younger
kids. That's right.
It's not even Teen Titans. It's Teen Titans Go, which means it's even dumbed down from Teen Titans. Which I like Teen Titans. I cannot take Teen Titans Go for very long because I just feel like they're trying to be SpongeBob in a way. I know that sounds weird, but like that the jokes are just aimed for like 3 to 5 year olds so much, and there's nothing added. I love cartoons that add like stuff for grown-ups as well.
Well, you know what? I like my favorite version of Teen Titans outside of the 60s animated show was Young Justice.
Yeah, right.
That's a better version, more characters, and in my opinion, a better version of the Justice League within Young Justice.
I agree.
Because they also included Icon and Rocket.
You so want that to be made, don't you?
I do, because anybody that has a daughter should want Icon to be a movie, because, and that's all I'm going to say without spoiling anything, but it's good. It's real good.
Oh, keep your faces. I love your faces so much.
I just, I want to advocate for Milestone and what they were able to do. I mean, again, everybody keeps talking about, Static, and that's fine. Static's a great character.
I like Static.
Icon is the man. Icon is the man. And if we're going to do Static, I'm hoping they do the comic book version of Static and not the animated series version of Static, because that's almost two different things. They added a few things to the animated cartoon to make it more palatable to different audiences.
You can say it. They dumbed it down, and they made it GGG rated. And that takes away from some of the characters. Not that it has to be anything more than G-rated. What I'm saying is, make your comic book cartoons smart. Because comic book readers are smart. We enjoy the science that is put into comic books. We enjoy the psychological things that are put into comic books. These are our characters because we enjoy those things. Don't dumb it down for us, because then we're not going to enjoy it as much.
Right.
That's why a lot of comic book fans are also fans of psychological thrillers and stuff like that, because you get a good comic book will have comedy, will have some horror, we'll have a little bit of romance. We'll have a lot of action, and we'll have psychological aspects to it. See, look at him. Yes, it has psychological, and Green Lantern is the perfect example of how they take the concept of a character and they dumb it down to the most. It's like taking a recipe that calls for like 7 spices and you just add salt. You dumb it down to the bare minimum. Keith gets me all like worked up, people. Sometimes I get off here when Keith's on the show, and I just think I just spoke completely out of my butt, and people are gonna think I'm so stupid.
That never happens because
I'm literally like, I'll be like, I sounded stupid. Did I sound stupid? No,
not at all.
But
That's my job.
Yeah, not. But it's, if you want to make a kids comic book movie, then by all means make a kids comic book movie. If you want to do, I have nothing wrong with Teen Titans Go, because it introduces comic book characters to little kids, and that is wonderful. But don't take aspects from this little kid show and try to put them in the Justice League, because it doesn't fit that story. Because your audience, the people paying to go see the Justice League, are not going to see it to hear booyah, and they're not going to see it to just see Teen Titans Go, those characters. Because if I want to watch that, I'll watch it on like Cartoon Network.
And you should also have people that actually know the comics, and not have a movie where you have the female hero magically make what she's writing in disappear, and for some reason she couldn't do that at the end of Justice League inside the big transport they were writing in. Oh, did I say something? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
She only did that once, Keith.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But
It's like, ooh.
And she lost her whatever it was that she made invisible before that. So she probably didn't want to park the jet and not be able to see it in Justice League. So that's
here's the problem with that, Professor. She's Wonder Woman. She just finds her invisible jet. Let's face it. No, it's just cohesiveness between, you have two directors, one directing, a single type of movie, and one directing an ensemble cast movie, and it's the same character, same actor or actors playing in it, and they're not, and there should be some cohesion in it, and there's just not.
You mean like between the first Wonder Woman movie and Justice League compared to Wonder Woman 84 and Justice League?
right.
Yeah. That's like the best that's the best example of that is, and it's just people not wanting to work together, wanting to take all of the credit for their movies, which I get. But at the same time, you have these characters who are playing other people's movies. You can't change them completely for your movie.
That's that. And again, looking right at you, Patty Jenkins, I love you. I love you. But you're not a creative. You're not a creative. You shouldn't. If you don't want to work in somebody's sandbox, you can always just leave and go do something else.
Yeah.
But Jeff Johns and Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman 84. I would have expected better from those two.
Lex loved it. I will say my stepdaughter loved it. But yeah, no, so many things bothered me about that movie. And I love Wonder Woman. You guys know that the first Wonder Woman movie came out, I cried in the theaters because it was my Wonder Woman, and it was everything I wanted Wonder Woman to be.
How about this one? That was the movie that Zack Snyder actually helped out with. He didn't direct it. He didn't tell anybody what to do, but he helped out. And his stunt people were the stunt coordinators for that movie. And that ties in to Justice League.
It does.
When you see Wonder Woman do her thing at the beginning of Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, the reason why that scene had to be longer is that they basically brought back and echoed how she fought in the Germans in the clock tower.
Right.
That entire fight with the terrorist was an echo of what she had done in the first Wonder Woman film.
Right.
So many things about Wonder Woman 1984 bothered me, but I think my biggest one, and this is, I am shocked that this did not get as much complaints from a certain group of younger people about not being woke enough. Because Steve comes back in another man's body, and she makes out with him. They're together.
Horizontal mambo.
He hasn't.
The mommy and daddy dance.
He hasn't consented because it's he's not there to consent. I'm just saying, throw that out.
If it was the other way around,
it would never have gotten into a movie.
Right.
It would never, in this day and age, it would never have gotten into a movie
and
if that would have been the other way around.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. I'm not complaining and saying that's a good thing. It's just we've got this double standard that we assume guys are always going to consent and everything else. So,
but the thing is, it was, and that one that there's several things that bothered me, but that one thing bothered me to the point that, and I think my Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman I grew up with, wouldn't have done that. I really don't think. I think she would have, been happy to see Steve, and she sees him as Steve after she sees him as Steve, but it's physically not Steve, and I don't think she would have done that.
I agree.
And I don't think Wonder Woman from the first movie would have done that. It's like her character was
different.
Yes. And it felt like it was rushed through to just try to go, okay, we have this success and we have this success and we need to shoot something else out. But instead of, I don't know, I think they wanted it to be 1984. There was other issues with it too, like the whole fact that she's like, thank you, Bruce, for bringing him back to me.
And
End of Justice League. And you're like, you just saw him like 20 years ago, lady. Like, it's not like, did you forget 20 years ago?
This also ties back into what we started talking about with Warner Brothers and the recent goings on. With Walter Hamada no longer employed there, he was the chief architect of all these changes post Justice League with Joss Whedon. He was the one pushing all of that. And Patty Jenkins happily went along with it. And Jeff Johns, who was the producer on Justice League, helped Patty Jenkins realize this story that they had concocted out of their butts for Wonder Woman 84. So it was, let's be different. Let's just say this happened. And they went with it. And it was bad.
So bad. And the thing is like, I just don't get it. Okay, if you have a comic book like Superman or Wonder Woman, Batman, that has been around for
80, 90 years. Yes.
Almost a century to some of them.
Yeah.
You have so much material to pull from. Why are you just doing this weird amalgamation of like whatever that was? I can't even have a word, and I write words all the time now. I don't even have a word for what that was. But why not pull from some of her greatest comic books?
That's a good question, because 80 plus years of stuff, and that's what they came up with, making it up as they went along because they could.
And here's the thing. They have a woman who seriously is an amazing Wonder Woman. She portrays Wonder Woman the first movie proves that. You have all of these characters that you can pull from for Wonder Woman. I don't know why they brought Steve back. I don't know why they brought Steve back. 2, I don't know why they said it in the 80s. Like, I mean,
well, because the 80s are cool.
No, yeah, it is, but it's the way they portrayed it, not so much. But they could have. I would have loved to have seen like Wonder Woman during like the 60s, because she had some great stories in like the late 60s, early 70s, the comic books had some great stories that were more appropriate for what is going on in our world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the injustices and the political stance that where we are now is so similar to where we were then that they could have pulled some amazing stories and given us a Wonder Woman movie that was not only comic book accurate, but could have made a meaning, which was what Wonder Woman was supposed to be, making meaningful change in the world. And instead you have her just, oh, my love's back. Like it diminished her a little bit. And that's not good.
Yeah, they should have just said it now. They should have just said Diana is now out of her malaise. She's talked to Bruce. She's doing all this other stuff. And she has an adventure. And it was all about reintegrating into the world and seeing everything the way that she had initially saw it when she first came into the world. And you could have had her making sure that a lot of the mystical items that were still out there, that humans wouldn't run afoul of those, which is the reason why she was working with the Smithsonian, because it was her job to make sure that any item that had mystical properties, she would sort of kind of take and make sure that humans didn't do anything. I mean, that could have been your story.
If you do something like Wonder Woman meets Laura Croft as like finding these like
mystical items, that
would have been beautiful. You could have still had Cheetah.
Yeah.
You could have. It would have made sense with the story. You could have.
Well, and that's where Cheetah gets her powers in the comics anyway. So I mean that would have actually fit better.
But not people. I don't know. I think Steve was the downfall of that movie, and it's not that I dislike the actor or the character. I just think that they put too much emphasis on Steve, and considering they had built up such a thing with Diana saying like that was a meaningful moment when Diana thanked Bruce for bringing him back to me. Like that was a meaningful moment, and then it's like so it's wiped out now that we know that Steve visited her in another man's body in the 1980s. Like,
well, it also raises a lot more questions. It's like, so Wonder Woman, you fly. Why did you need a plane? I mean, just asking for a friend. I mean, just when I would ask these silly questions that sort of come to mind. I mean, literally that entire movie, 1984, is a monument to not having a cohesive thought.
Yep.
Well,
I hate to be that guy, but
the interesting thing is we were going to talk about the things we're really geeking out over, and we really haven't done any of that. But I propose that we take up that mantra next week for our 50th episode. I've already invited Mr. Keith to come to join us, and I think we should definitely invite some of our other friends along to pop in and see how big of a group we can get.
Gonna tell you something, and I will be here if I can.
Ruh-roh.
Shpoo is having surgery on Friday, and not this Friday, the next Friday, and he has to go get all of the pre-screening tests and COVID things and all of that stuff done on Tuesday. So I might be running a little bit late to see what time we get done with that.
Is he all right? I mean,
so I can tell you because he went on YouTube and he told people. So he had a heart condition when he was a kid that they had surgery done on when he was 14. And they said that it would probably return when he hit 30 or 40. And it has returned with a vengeance. And so we have spent the last few weeks, almost a month now, a lot of the times that the doctors are having late nights where he's having issues, or he's feeling weak, or his heart's racing a lot and stuff like that. And so they're going to be doing a exploratory surgery on next Friday. And then when they're in there, if they find the things that are wrong, they're going to fix them. So we don't even know how long the surgery is going to be, or if it's going to be an outpatient or inpatient or anything right now. So it's just like all up in the air.
Hey, you tell him to hang in there.
I will.
If anybody's got this, you do, Spoo. Dude.
I told him, I was like, I just found you like 2.5 years ago. You can't leave me yet, so you have no choice in this matter.
That's right. And you know what? Half the time his heart's racing is because it's you he's thinking about.
Oh, that's sweet. I said that too, and he's like, no, not really.
Dude, I'm trying to help you out.
Tell him he's locked into a 7-season contract at a minimum, so he can't get out of it.
Plus 50.
Exactly.
So we're just I've been stressed, he's been stressed, and I'm trying not to be stressed on the days he's stressed and vice versa, so we can kind of help each other out. But it's been a little struggle here and there and everything, but hopefully they'll get in there and they'll find what's wrong. The surgery he had when he was 14 was an outpatient surgery, and it's still an outpatient surgery. It's a little bit more like technologically advanced than it was back then. And so we're hoping that's all it is. If it's something more, the doctors have said that they're going to fix whatever they can fix during the surgery, so he doesn't have more than one if possible. But we really just don't know at this point what exactly is wrong or anything like that. So it's just a little bit of a stressful situation and a little bit of a sleepless nights, and he hasn't been sleeping a lot, and which means I don't sleep a lot and that kind of thing. But we're here, and I'm hopeful that he is going to be fine, and in a couple weeks he'll be back to his old self and back to doing videos and being ornery and mouthy and a giant.
He would have enjoyed this episode. Show it to him.
So
this is his kind of episode here.
It is. We've talked about like getting people to come onto his show, because he pre-records and stuff. And when he gets back to recording, and he's like, I just, we need more people on our show. And I was like, you need more people on your show. I agree. So.
You let him know if he wants me to on his show, I'll come and we'll talk about whatever he wants.
I will let him know that. He would love that. He would love to have any of you guys on the show. So.
Well, I love talking to him. He's great. He's good people.
He's such a weirdo.
That's why we like him. Well, just remind them, if they get into the surgery and they say, what we really want to do is give you this kryptonite heart, the answer is no. That's bad.
He's already told me to tell the doctor no kryptonite. He's also said if they want to make him bionic, he's okay with that.
Yes,
okay. Yes. Good answer.
So we will find out what. As long as it doesn't change his personality, I'm okay with whatever they do.
Well, if they try to give him a mechanical arm, say no to that one either. That won't work out.
Works okay for Cyborg.
Yeah, but how often do you see Cyborg dating?
They might want him to do some favors for them, and take a few people out, especially if it has a red star in the arm, and you don't want that.
It's just too much of a hassle. Like you don't.
Yeah, it's true.
Although for you it'd be great because you could use keywords to get him to do whatever you want.
Oh, that would be great. Right now, he's such a ass. Sorry for the bad word, Professor, but he is.
It's okay. It's not.
His face cracks me up. He's like, no. Well, Tell you what, guys, I have some transcribing to do for my actual reporting job.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna have to get off here. Are we gonna wrap it up, or are you guys gonna?
Yep.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
gonna,
Let me.
actually. That's kind of where I was heading towards. Is we need to do this next week
Yes.
and follow up with our 50th. So go ahead, Keith. You've got something here for us, sir.
Yes.
Yes. I have a new show.
I know.
Let's do this. Okay, tell us about your new show.
It's called Keith Chimes In, and I try to highlight different things. Although since the beginning of the show, we have been on the subject of the hit 90s series Babylon 5. So for those of you who have never seen Babylon 5, it is right now available on HBO Max. Okay? They say Earth Force Pin. Babylon 5 is a great show. You'd really love it. 5 seasons, dozens upon dozens of characters. It's Game of Thrones minus the sex and minus the extreme blood. And it's all kind of like they mix in Lord of the Rings with a little bit of Star Trek, and a little bit of Star Wars, and some really, really cool characters. So Keith Chimes In. You can find that on YouTube. You'll find it at the Fat Steven Seagal channel is who I'm doing it through. Now, Gary and I are still doing Pop Culture Minefield. We still do our TGIF show. We still have a lot of things on tap and ready to go, but this was something else that I got talked into doing, and it's been fun. So you join me every Monday for Keith Chimes In. Monday at 3 CST, and that's 4 o'clock Eastern. And we'll talk some Babylon 5 and have fun with that.
Yay! That's so
All
exciting,
right.
Keith. I love that you have your new show.
Well,
it's not the only thing. I mean,
Oh,
okay, we're going to scrub that last few words out and just go with, of course.
that's how live works. That's the only thing. That's the only thing right now.
Yeah, that's the only thing right now.
Right now. Right up there. Mm-hmm. I got you covered, Keith. Don't
well, since Keith had mentioned it, make sure to Keith Chimes In. Newest show for Mr. Keith. Check him out on Mondays, 3 p.m. Central Time on YouTube.
On the Fat Steven Seagal channel.
The
Fat Steven Seagal.
Well, and I
Seagal,
saw that
but he's
name.
fat.
Steven Seagal.
He's kind of the guy running the show, but he lets me host it, and it's fun, and he's a fun guy.
That's
and
awesome.
he's one of Gary and I's new friends who we like having in, and he's very funny. And
I was gonna say I've seen him on your guys' show before, and I did tune in for your first episode. I caught a good portion of that. So
a lot of laughing.
Yeah.
Love
and
it.
don't forget, you guys can check out Keith along with Gary on Pop Culture Minefield on YouTube. And
subscribe buttons on both those, you guys, so you don't miss out on anything. Plus, it lets Keith and Gary and Fat Steven Seagal know you guys like what they're doing.
And it helps other people to see it. So if they're doing a good job, you want others to see it.
Be sure to share all these videos too. If you guys find a video on YouTube you like, post it to your Facebook page. Let everybody else on your friends list see it, because they might like it too. Who knows?
Yeah, that's always good advice.
Yeah. Okay. We also want to throw some other mentions out there. We have our OzPod gals over at OzPod. They're great. Amber and Brianna, I love them. They're on Facebook right now, but they are trying to set up to where they will be on other streaming sites. Yeah, they should call you to tell. Yeah.
I've talked to them before. So
they're amazing. They're so much fun. This last episode, which was their first live other than the OzCon.
Right.
OzCon. They had like the ears that go with the mind and your moods. Yeah, it was fun. They're so much fun. So be sure to check them out on Thursday nights. It might change, and if it does, we'll let you guys know.
Yep, we sure will.
We have the Nerd Informants. We have Tim and Josh over Nerd Informants. They're on YouTube and Facebook as well. So much fun. And they are going back to the movies because movies are opening up.
Yay!
And so they're going to be bringing us all kinds of reviews. They try to get out there as soon as the movies open. Once in a while, they're a couple days late, but that's not bad. But they will give you their honest opinion on some great movies that are coming out and honest opinions on the not so good movies that are coming out too. It's a thing. Tim and I work together, so we're both reporters at the same newspaper. So we talk about this stuff all the time. And then we have Shmoo over at Scallywag Productions, of course. I've heard me mention yeah, I know. I will clap all day for Shmoo.
Hercules.
He's not doing videos at the moment due to health issues, but he will get back to them as soon as he is up and about again, which we're hoping is a couple weeks. And then he'll have, I think the plan going forward, we'll have 3 videos a week instead of 5. And that's going to be one with me and him. We do series of enigmatic events. He says it better than I do. And then he'll have mindless drivel and then flip it from the better never.
Oh,
you lost me.
Well, I was trying to do this, so I hit the wrong button.
Do that. Now I'm all here by myself.
All right, fine.
The best there never was, and frivolous facts, and he'll just go back and forth with those. Is the plan. So he will have some videos up, hopefully in June. So guys,
That'll be great.
Oh.
Looking forward to that. Those videos are great, and you can also find those on GeekyKOOL.com.
We'll clap because GeekyKOOL.com is the brainchild of Professor over there, and it is going to have all kinds of articles. We share videos. We share all kinds of things from all of our friends and contributors. And Professor is great about keeping up to date on what's going on in the geeky world. We are also on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, so be sure to go give us a like, share our Facebook page, share our YouTube channel, and let us know what you guys would like us to do and talk about, because we're always looking for ideas. Feel it, Geeky Cool.
Keith, make sure to invite Gary next week if he's able to come. Love to have him on with us. And
Gary's in the middle of moving. He's moving, and so he's in the middle of. Well, he's moving. They moved out of their house and they're transitioning. So they're in mid-transit, and a lot of their stuff's still in boxes.
Sure.
So that's the reason why you're going to be seeing a lot more of me doing all the stuff I'm not supposed to be doing. But you're going to see a lot more of me.
Professor just moved into his house too. As you can see, he's in a new. He has his own studio room now.
With the light and camera and everything. So it's
light.
I seriously
That's
don't
right.
have a light yet.
We'll get you a light. So
I gotta get a light and all kinds of stuff. But I like to be in different rooms. I know, just a ring light. I know Shmoo and I've been talking about getting 2 of them for when we do our videos. Look how pretty you look. You look so pretty like that. Oh, angelic there. Just like the glow was.
Anything but.
But yeah, you guys be sure to check us all out. And like I said, if you go and check out these pages and these YouTube channels, hit that subscribe button, comment, like, share, and just let us know what you think about what we're doing, because we really do like to hear that. Unless you think I'm like just terrible, and then trust me, I already know that.
Yeah, if you don't like us, you can just keep that to yourselves. But if you like us, then let us know.
Yeah. Or if you hate me, let me know that too, because I think that's funny.
What? Whoa, wait. No.
Hilarious.
No, nobody hates you guys. Probably me, especially from some of the emails and stuff I've gotten. But more than likely me, but not you guys. You guys are
That's just Kathleen Kennedy emailing you, Keith. So
I wish it were. Let's just say it's the internet, and some people like to let loose with certain things that they shouldn't say, but
I agree with
it doesn't hurt what little feelings I have left. So
I get that. Yeah.
I lost those years ago. I looked for him for a while, and then I just was like, nah, I'm good with that.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up our show. Make sure to tune in next week for episode 50, as we will gather some of our friends, maybe some nerd informants or Ozpod gals, or Who
Brittany.
knows who might show up? Miss Brittany, the great movie director herself, maybe. We'll see if we can grab her. So, all right. We'll see you guys next week. Stay geeky. And until then, we'll talk to you later.